Week 7 is upon us, and that means there's no more time to mess around. A big shot in the TVC Ohio looked to stay in control. Two NBL underdogs went head-to-head, and the epic finale of the biggest rivalry in the SCOAL went down. And it's all coming up next on Gridiron Glory! Center. October, the month to get down to business. If your team can't perform in the final month of the regular season, they can kiss the playoffs goodbye. All the two-a-days and the early morning lifting comes down to these final weeks. Tonight, 5 teams came closer to sealing the deal for the playoffs. And we'll kick off our show with the undefeated Southern Tornadoes. Southern hosted the Trimble Tomcats, a big showdown between the two top teams in the Hawking. And our very own Joseph Payton was there to see it all unfold.
Yeah, Danny, tonight's game had some serious TVC Hawking championship implications, and everybody in the stands knew it. A win tonight put Southern in the driver's seat of the conference, but Trimble was looking to stay in the hunt to defend their Hawking crown. And the Tornadoes came into tonight as the only undefeated team left in the conference, but Trimble, they wanted to change that. Late first quarter, Dominic Pickett takes this run up the gut for 7 yards down to the 33-yard line, and 3 plays later, it's that man Pickett yet again. He gets up the sideline and he is off to the races. 61 yards all the way to pay dirt. Tomcats up 8-0 with 3 minutes left in the first quarter. Then on the ensuing kickoff, it's a line shot. Southern can't control it, can't come down with it, and the Tomcats recover. That leads to another Trimble touchdown, so Southern, they've got to answer now. Blake Johnson drops back, airs it out long to Crenson Rogers. He makes the catch, keeps his feet in bounds there for 36-yard gain. And 4 plays later, on 4th and 10, Johnson goes back to Rogers again. They connect in the end zone, 24-yard touchdown. Southern trails 15-6. The Tomcats aren't phased, though. They come right back at him with this 15-yard run by Pickett out to the 25-yard line. And then Gary Brooks finishes the drive here. QB sneak across the goal line, 22-6 Tomcats now. And an interception gives the ball right back to Trimble, so they go and they capitalize. 15-yard touchdown run by Cam Curry. Trimble leads 29-6 at halftime, and they go on and take down the 7th-ranked team in Division 7, 43-14.
Wow, impressive win for the Tomcats, but Southern, they really struggled. Why were the Tornadoes slacking tonight?
Well, Southern definitely did not look like the team we have seen play up to this point this season. They were without running back Jalen Blanks for the 2nd straight game, and it showed. Southern has always thrown the ball, but they didn't have that solid run game to go to without Blanks. Quarterback Blake Johnson struggled to find receivers at times, and even when he did find an open receiver, they had a hard time making the catch. I'll credit the Trimble defense, though. They put pressure on Johnson and forced him to make quick decisions in the pocket, but Danny, the Trimble defense just could have not played any better.
So Trimble's defense, they were intense, but they were also clicking on the other side of the ball.
Absolutely, Danny. Trimble's offense was hitting on all cylinders and was led by the two-headed monster of Dominic Pickett and Cam Curry in the backfield. Those two guys managed to get out in space and eat up yardage all night long. Southern's defense, they just had no answer for the Trimble running game.
Okay, Joseph, now that Southern has their first loss in the Hawking, how does it shake things up for the TVC Hawking Championship picture?
So basically what we have now is 2 teams with 1 loss in conference play. Those 2 teams being Trimble and Southern. Waterford beat South Gallia tonight, so they remain undefeated in conference. Next week, Southern and Waterford meet in what will be a huge game. If Southern loses, Waterford will then control their own destiny. However, if Southern beats Waterford and Trimble also wins next week, we'll have a 3-way tie. So there will be a lot riding on next week's Southern-Waterford game. And Danny, it's about to get very interesting heading into the last few weeks of the season.
Well, I'm excited to see how it all plays out. Thanks a lot, Joseph. And I've said it before, I'll say it again. Our website is the place to go for all of the coverage of your favorite teams. And all of our coverage, it doesn't stop at midnight. It continues all week long on woub.org/gridiron. Right now, you can check out game recaps from tonight's action. And later this week, head back online to catch game previews, power rankings, and more. It's all on woub.org/gridiron. Bloom-Carroll came into week 7 without a conference loss, but a surging Amanda Clear Creek had something to say about it. Blake Baker joins me now, and Blake, it sounded like this one was a game changer.
Oh, it certainly was, Danny. It was Thursday night lights in Carlfeld Stadium, and we had ourselves a barn burner. Bloom-Carroll's high-powered offense scored off against a stout Amanda Clear Creek squad in this major mid-state league matchup. After falling behind in the first half, the Aces put up 21 unanswered points coming out of the locker rooms. They recovered an onside kick and a fumble to steal all the Bulldogs' first half momentum. That being said, Bloom-Carroll did lead for most of the night, as Justin Harvey and Nick Patch led a balanced attack that is notoriously hard to stop. What hurt the Bulldogs in this one was simply missed opportunities, like flags that called back touchdowns, turnovers during long drives, and a missed field goal with just over 3 minutes to play. After that missed field goal, Braden Neff maneuvered a methodical Amanda offense, and RJ Martin picked up the hard-earned yards on an 80-yard drive. Keaton Baldwin caught a touchdown pass from Neff with 13 seconds to play, and that was the deciding score in a 35-31 Aces victory. Amanda's offense had its fair share of missed chances in the opening half, but the defense and special teams continued to give them chances in the second, and that was ultimately the difference in this one, Danny.
So Blake, you got a treat last night with that one, and you took on another game tonight, this time in the MVL. So tell us about that one.
Oh, I certainly paced the odometer these past 2 days. New Lexington and West Muskingum may each be out of the playoff hunt, but either team could claw its way back out of the bottom of the MVL with a win tonight. From the opening kickoff, West M couldn't get anything going offensively. 2 of its first 3 plays from scrimmage were turnovers, and within minutes they were down by 2 touchdowns. The Tornadoes could not get in a rhythm when they had possession, and when they didn't hurt themselves with penalties, they were just simply outplayed. The Panther D-line applied constant pressure and made life miserable for Gunnar Hazen, and when they did that, it was hard to establish any consistency. It was the opposite type of game for New Lex's offense. Its game plan was to give the ball to Bradley Clapper and make the defense stop him, and as simple as that was, West M didn't do a great job at it. Clapper spearheaded the Panther rushing attack, racking up 64 yards on 18 attempts and powering for 4 touchdowns. But it wasn't just the offense that got in on the scoring. Aaron Foreman and Cam Bowen both returned punts for touchdowns in the first half to add to an already big lead for New Lex. Each team scored once more in the second half to make the final score 46-14 in favor of New Lexington. Even though New Lex had 181 total yards to West M's 194, the Panthers had the ball for 39 minutes while the Tornadoes possessed it for 8. I think it's safe to say if you don't have the ball much, it's hard to win ball games.
Yeah, I mean, you got to say that that's just about true 100% of the time. Thanks a lot, Blake. And we always try to keep our Twitter updated with scores all night long on Fridays. So shout out to Chloe for actually calling out Snapchat for having the wrong score. She made sure the Miller Falcons got the credit that they deserved. Miller went on to win that one 27-8, but thanks for the tweet, Chloe, and thanks for using the hashtag GG16. For updates on all your favorite teams, follow us on Twitter at Gridiron Glory. And we're more than halfway through the season now, so we're getting an idea of how teams stack up, but we're also starting to see which players stand above the rest. Senior reporter Sean Neidig joins me now, and Sean, we know that there's no short of a talent in this area.
Yeah, not at all, Danny. By this point in the season, we're starting to get an idea of who our finalists will be for the Gridiron Glory Player of the Year. So here's an update of who we've got our eyes on going into the final stretch. Starting out in the TVC Ohio, 2 Nelsonville-York Buckeyes have been leading this team in what's been a resurgent season for them. Alex Mount went over 1,000 rushing yards for his season tonight, and quarterback Hunter Edwards has done a great job of putting the Buckeyes in position to score. Another player to watch for was on my preseason watch list, and he hasn't disappointed. Athens quarterback Brendan Sano actually was moved to tight end early in the year, but he's moved back under center due to the injury to Trace Albin, and Sano has not looked back since. Moving into the Hawking division, we thought that Southern could impress people this year, and they have, thanks to the strong play of Jalen Blanks. However, as Joe said, he's been out for the past 2 games, and Southern got beat bad by Trimble tonight, so that shows how much they miss his presence. Quarterback Isaac Huffman has been a leader of a 6-1 Waterford team that lit up the scoreboard tonight and might be in the driver's seat for the conference title. In the MVL, 2 quarterbacks are lighting it up through the air and on the ground. Sheridan signal caller Dylan Dupler was on our preseason watch list as well, and his strong pocket awareness and decision-making makes him the perfect guy to lead the Generals' dynamic offense. Nate Baker from Philo also has a lot of weapons, and this guy is built like a tank. It is really hard to bring him down when he breaks the pocket and gets into space. And finally, in the SEOAL and Columbus area, Austin Harris has been carrying Zane Trace all year from the quarterback position. And he has the Pioneers at 5-2, and they could be 6-1 if a Hail Mary earlier in the season went the other way. And of course, it's almost impossible to decide who's more important in Jackson's backfield. Johnny Farley, Blake McCoy, and dual threat QB Bryce Hall have the Ironmen scoring more than 40 points a game. Maybe one of those guys will separate from the pack in the last few weeks, but right now it's too close to pick just one. I said before the season that some players will surprise us and force their way onto our list. There's still time for some players to do that, but it's a pretty safe bet that our finalists are going to be coming from some of the players I mentioned tonight.
Oh, definitely. That is a safe bet, and all the players that you gave us definitely deserve a little glory. Thanks, Sean. And again, it isn't the final GG Player of the Year list. You'll have to be patient and wait a few more weeks for the official release. But in the meantime, let us know who you think deserves a spot on the list. Tweet at Gridiron Glory and my personal account at @gghost_Danny with the players who deserve the glory. And don't forget to use the hashtag GGPOY in your tweet. Before their games tonight, the top spot in the MVL was a three-way tie between Tri-Valley, Philo, and Sheridan. The Generals and Electrics faced off tonight in Thornville. And MVL reporter Megan Stamper was there for that exciting matchup.
Yeah, Danny, normally we see Tri-Valley, Maysville, and Sheridan at the top spot in the MVL around this time of the year. But this year, Philo replaced Maysville. So the winner of tonight's matchup between Philo and Sheridan remained in the running for an MVL title, and this game brought all the grit you would imagine in an important late-season rivalry. And Sheridan was back home this week after going to Maysville last week, so they were going to try and use that home field advantage in their favor, and things started off good for them. They're marching down the field. Here, Luke Rydnor takes this rushing attempt for 28 yards, but Sheridan would turn the ball over on downs later in that drive. So Philo took advantage of it, marched down the field on the Generals. Nate Baker took it in right there. So Sheridan went up 7-0 early in the first quarter, and Sheridan was having problems with turnovers all night. Dupler throws it to Isaac Gills there, and Gills had 2 interceptions on the night. And again here, Justin Bobo gets the handoff and he fumbles it. That's recovered by Dakota Perry. But luckily for Sheridan, Philo just wasn't able to turn those turnovers into points. But here, late in the third quarter, they get something going. Mike Giddings with that 32-yard catch from Dylan Dupler to set up this first play of the fourth quarter. Dupler fakes it to his running back and he takes it in himself. So the score is tied 7-7 early in the fourth quarter, but Sheridan did go on to win 10-7.
Well, that's definitely not the game that we were really expecting, Megan. I mean, I knew both teams had great defenses, but I thought their offenses would be able to do more and put more points on the board.
Yeah, definitely not what we expected. But Philo was able to come out on top in this battle because their defense just played better than Sheridan's. You know, I really expected it to be a blowout tonight between both teams. But both defenses showed up to play, and Sheridan's defense bailed their offense out so many times by preventing Philo from turning the general turnovers into points. If the Electrics would have been able to convert turnovers into touchdowns, the score would have been way more lopsided than 10-7. Dupler threw 2 interceptions, Bobo and Dupler each had a fumble, and then 2 turnovers on downs combined for 6 total turnovers for the Generals. Another big way Philo's D showed up was by holding the Generals to short gains on first and second down, leading to third and long situations. It's never easy to gain big yardage on third down, and especially not tonight against this Philo defense. Sheridan was able to convert some of their fourth and shorts, but they weren't able to get the ball into the end zone.
Megan, we all know this game had big MVL implications riding on how it went. And how does Philo's win shake things up in the standings?
Danny, now that Sheridan has a league loss, that leaves Philo and Tri-Valley as the only 2 teams remaining with unbeaten league records. Philo is 6-1 overall now, and Tri-Valley is still undefeated after beating John Glenn tonight. If Philo and Tri-Valley remain unbeaten in the MVL these next 2 weeks, then their matchup week 10 will decide the winner of the MVL.
Well, we'll see if Philo can pull off the upset. Thanks, Megan. It's already week 7, and the season is moving fast, but it's not too late to slow down and subscribe to the Gridiron Glory newsletter. You'll know the games we're covering, as well as our next game of the week, updated conference standings, and the top highlight from Friday night's game. And all of that with even getting out of bed. Every Monday, all that info will be sent straight to your inbox. To get on the email list, just shoot us an email to gridiron@woub.org. Earlier in the show, you got a look at a few potential Player of the Year candidates. And online host Eric Threed is here to take a look at the bigger picture. Eric, give us your top rank. What teams are the top 3 teams in our coverage?
You know it's always about the big picture. Sean mentioned the players, and Jalen Blanks, Dylan Dupler, Isaac Huffman, they're just pieces. 1 out of 11 on either side of the ball. When Week 10 comes around, the only thing that matters is who has the best 11. I tweeted 3 polls with the teams at the top of their conferences. I'm proud of y'all. There were over 600 votes, and I agree with the results for the most part. Starting out in the Columbus and SCOAL, it's all about quarterbacks. Unioto, Clay Edler, responsible for 73% of their total yards. Zane Trace, Austin Harris, he leads the Pioneers in rushing touchdowns. Justin Harvey has 16 touchdowns on the year, but Jackson and their dynamic offense with Bryce Hall, Blake McCoy, and Johnny Farley took 54% of the vote. Out in front of the MVL is Tri-Valley. 5 straight conference titles, no conference losses since 2008. This was the obvious choice, but they haven't played Philo, Sheridan, or Maysville yet. With the Electrics now in second place, we have a showdown for the MVL title in Week 10, assuming both teams win out. It doesn't get any better unless you're in the TVC. Every team in the TVC Ohio, but Alexander, has a shot at the chip. Nelsonville-York and that option is tied at the top with the Bulldogs, setting up another potential Week 10 showdown. Despite busting Southern tonight, Trimble isn't the power in the hockey. The Waterford Wildcats, if they beat the Tornadoes next week, they're going to be head honcho of the hockey. Lots of great teams in this conference in our coverage, but I want 3, and here they are. Bloom-Carroll, arguably the best passing attack as well as the most versatile offense in our coverage. Screen passes, deep balls, sweeps, options, they execute all effectively. You never know what's coming. You know what's coming with Jackson's offense, but it never matters. Blake McCoy and Johnny Farley have combined for 20 touchdowns before tonight out of the backfield. Bryce Hall chipped in 11 touchdowns, 42 points per game, boom. Number 1, Tri-Valley. They've allowed 5 touchdowns this year. That is ridiculous. They body everybody consistently. I don't have to argue for them. Sheridan, Maysville, Philo. Please knock them on their behind. Until that happens, the Scotties are number 1, period. Danny, that's all I got for you.
Well, you're right there. Coach Buttermore, he has Tri-Valley in shape. Thanks for the rankings, Eric. And thanks again to all of our fans for sending us fun Snapchats tonight. Wahama may have lost to Eastern tonight, but they're winning in the Snapchat game. We have to give our Snapchat of the week to the White Falcons. They're getting hyped in the locker room, killing it with that selfie action, just packing about as many guys as possible in there. So thanks a lot, guys. One team that is turning heads in the TVC Ohio this season is the Nelsonville-York Buckeyes. They traveled to Wellston tonight with hopes of remaining undefeated in conference play. And our Ohio reporter, Josh Gregory, was out tonight. So Josh, NY lost this game 46-20 last year. Did you see a repeat?
Well, after taking a look at some of NY's key players this year, this was easily Wellston's toughest matchup yet. They have the tall task of containing Alex Mount and Hunter Edwards, who before tonight combined for over 1,000 rushing yards, the most out of any team in the TVC Ohio so far. And Hunter Edwards and the Buckeye boys are hungry for more TVC Ohio wins. But Alex Mount gets things rolling early for NY after a slow start tonight. He goes up the gut for 23 yards, putting them in good position, but they were unable to capitalize. Hunter Edwards missing his man, and NY turns it over on downs. So Wellston trying to make the most of this opportunity. Nick Cox bulldozing his way down the right sideline for a 21-yard pickup. However, that drive would stall, and NY's on the move. Alex Mount, big offensive weapon tonight for NY, takes it deep into Wellston territory. This sets up 3-0 lead, courtesy of a Garrett Maiden field goal 4 plays later. Wellston, they try to respond, but Mike Graham, he finds the wrong dude. Garrett O'Neill with the pick for the Buckeyes, and he goes down at the offensive 41. So 2 plays later, Hunter Edwards looking to capitalize, slings it deep to Chris Cook. 37-yard touchdown, and NY goes up 10-0 with 3 minutes left in the half. And if Edwards can do it in the air, then why not on the ground? He crosses the field, shakes and bakes his way out of trouble, and books it 30 yards to the end zone, sending his team into the locker room up 17-0. And with that strong offensive play, they go on to win 38-0 tonight, Danny.
Well, Nelsonville-York just tallying up those W's week by week, but they had a pretty slow start tonight. What happened, Josh?
Well, one reason they couldn't get anything started was because they couldn't finish their drives. They bogged down as soon as they hit the red zone. Alex Mount would get the Buckeyes in good field position off of some pretty good runs. However, the rest of the Buckeye offense was slower to start. Noah Andrews made hardly any noise in the first half, and Hunter Edwards missed all 4 of his first passes. These incomplete passes hurt the Buckeyes early. It forced them to either punt it away or turn it over on downs. And give some props to Wellston tonight because their coverage was really good.
So despite the loss, some good things, like you said, happening for the Golden Rocket defense, but what about their offense tonight?
Since Wellston's offense uses a similar running style, they ran into the same problem. No pun intended, Danny. In the first quarter, both teams were tied at nothing, so it was really anybody's game. Nick Cox had some good carries and racked up many first downs tonight, but then their offense were bogged down. Quarterback Michael Graham had some trouble finding his guys and even threw a pick that resulted in an NY touchdown. However, unlike NY, they weren't able to fix this problem in the second half, and that made all the difference. NY's strong offense really shined in the second half. Alex Mount is a player you don't want to take your eyes off of. Another big night for him, rushing 265 yards on 15 carries and scoring 2 out of NY's 5 touchdowns. And he actually just broke 1,000 rushing yards tonight, and we still have plenty of season left, so I'm excited to see where he leads this team in the next few weeks. And if that wasn't enough, he outran Wellston's top 2 running backs, Nick Cox and Travis Jajon, who combined for 211 yards tonight. And that's a pretty decent night. The Golden Rockets had no trouble moving the ball, but they couldn't seal the deal when it counted. They have a chance to bounce back next week when they travel to Bulldog Country.
Well, Josh, that's exactly why Alex Mount is on our Player of the Year watch list. We'll be definitely keep an eye on him for sure. Thanks for all the stats. And over the years, it's been a battle between Jackson and Logan for who has the strongest team in the SEOAL. But tonight, I learned it should really be about who has a stronger fan base. When the Ironmen's biggest rival came to town, you know they were loud and proud for Fan of the Week.
This is the only place to be on Friday in Jackson.
So what's her name? Everly. Hi, Everly. Hi.
You always look this stylish. I mean, these are not regular t-shirts. You have to wear red and white if you come to a Jackson game.
All right, Callie, can you give us a little cheer? All right, let's see it.
Was that it? Oh, okay.
All right, so she found me on Twitter first, and as soon as we walked by, she was going crazy with her bells and everything, coming out here for 12 years. So I gotta give it to you. It's the final year of the SEOAL, but before the conference says goodbye, there are some loose ends to wrap up. The Jackson Ironmen face the Logan Chieftains for the epic finale of this historic conference rivalry. When these two teams meet, it's always exciting. Clay Benjamin joins me now, and Clay, these teams have quite the history.
Danny, since 2000, these two teams are 7-7 against one another. But since Andy Hall took over the Ironman in 2009, they are 5-2 against their rivals and look to make it 6-2 tonight at home. Jackson coming out with intensity in their final ever SEOAL game, and on the second play of the game, Bryce Hall rolls out to his right, and he finds his man Blake McCoy down the right sideline for 23 yards, and they're deep in Logan territory. 4 plays later, Hall drops back to pass, but this time he is intercepted by Riley Nelson, and forget about it. Once Nelson gets to the right sideline, he is gone. An 80-yard pick six, 7-0 Logan early in the first quarter. First Jackson play after the pick six, Johnny Farley. He gets to the outside, picks up 32 yards, and just like that, the Ironmen are back in the red zone. 4 plays later, Farley, he punches it in from 3 yards out, 7-7 with 6:49 left in the first. On Jackson's next drive, on 4th and 2, Caleb Storm somehow stays on his feet, and he gets 12 yards and picks up a crucial first down for the Ironmen. 3 plays later, Jackson fake out our cameraman on the play fake, but Hall finds Kendall Neal in the end zone. 14-7 Jackson, 40 seconds left in the first quarter. Later in the half, Hall airs it out and drops a dime to Dylan Coffey for a 69-yard touchdown. The extra point would be blocked. 27 Jackson, 5:30 left in the half. On their next drive, Hall is dropping back again, but this time he's intercepted by Colton Dixon, and this is when the Chieftains tried to claw themselves back into the game. Second play after the pick, Jeremy Miner. He punches it in from 30 yards out, 20-14 Jackson, 2:15 left in the half. 2 plays after that touchdown, Hall drops it off to a wide open Farley, and he does the rest. A 67-yard touchdown, 26-14 at the half, and Jackson won their last ever SCOAL game, 46-14.
So Jackson just dominated tonight. But Clay, they were able to get it done through the air rather than on the ground.
Danny, we knew how good this Jackson backfield was, but it was the arm of Bryce Hall that dominated the game tonight. Hall was dropping some NFL-grade dimes down the field. The Jackson offense had 3 passing touchdowns of at least 67 yards or more. He finished the night with 528 total yards and 5 touchdowns. Hall was hitting his receivers in stride and giving them plenty of space in the open field. From there, the Jackson receivers were able to use their creativity and speed to run through the Logan defense.
Wow, some serious stats from Hall tonight. But on the other side of the ball, it wasn't a great night for the Logan offense.
Coming into tonight, the duo of Jeremy Minor and Preston Yates have a combined 478 yards and 2 touchdowns. The Logan offense literally runs through these two, but the Jackson defense were able to keep Minor and Yates under control and shut them down. Without the running game, the Chieftains cannot create any rhythm on offense.
So, as we said, big win for Jackson, but Clay, it was a historic night in the SCOAL.
After 92 years in the league, tonight was Jackson's last ever game in the SCOAL, one of the oldest conferences in the state of Ohio. Danny, let me drop some stats on you. With the win tonight, Jackson won their 25th SCOAL title, but Logan has the most all-time with 27. Jackson finished with an all-time record of 338 wins, 208 losses, and 22 ties. Danny, the SCOAL had an incredible run.
I'm sad to see this conference come to an end, but good work tonight, Clay. And we can't say our goodbyes without looking back at the highest points of the night. It's time for some top plays. Let's roll them out. Starting off at number 3, right out of Jackson, Logan, they're trying to get something going on the ground, but Jeremy Minor, he's taking the handoff. He got sauced. That was right by Blake Kirby. And on to number 2, New Lexington Panthers, Bradley Clapper. He steps back and slings it to Dalton. He gets it with one hand, and that was Dalton Burton's only catch of the night. Might as well make it good. On to play number 1. We are back in Jackson. Bryce Hall with a beautiful bomb to Dylan Coffey. That's a 69-yard touchdown pass, and as we just talked about, Bryce normally takes it on the ground. It's beautiful seeing him do it through the air. And that does it for Week 7. Be sure to join us next week right here on WOUB. Much more playoff implications coming your way. I'm your host, Danny Dean, reminding you that there's nothing better than Friday nights and Gridiron Glory.